Napoli.
McTominay!
Roma versus Napoli. Live on Sporty TV. Sporty Bet sponsors coverage of the Italian Serie A.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. This is Good Morning Nigeria if you've just joined us. And we have been discussing the gains of the president's diplomatic shuttles across the world. And just before we went on that break, I was hinting, Ambassador Martins, if there are mechanisms in place to ensure transparency and accountability in tracking the gains of these diplomatic engagements.
Mechanisms being put in place by government have been expatiated by the Ambassador Akinremi. My own point of view is this. Government will always come up with policies. Mr. President will always embark on diplomatic engagements to bring in, good governance, protocols, agreements, and then there will be those projects on ground for us to see. We are saying to the fact that, yes, there are projects on ground, benefits derivable and being derived from these foreign engagements by Mr. President. And we're taking it to other programs, other projects, other policies of government. Most importantly, we need to speak to those who are saddled with the responsibility to ensuring implementation of government policies. They must ensure that two factors are put in place in their minds while ensuring that these policies are brought to bear to Nigerians. Government will always do what they want to do and say, okay, go ahead and implement. One is integrity. Integrity, which has to do with doing the right thing and saying the right thing at all times, must come to play. We can sign all the agreements, we can speak all the grammar that we know in this world. Whereas, if integrity is not in place, it will just be a watershed at the end of the day. Concerns will be raised here and there. The second part of which I stand is patriotism, love for the country. There, the policy of government, you ensure that you are patriotic and you don't do otherwise, as the case may be. Once we have integrity and patriotism guiding us to implement government's policies, then we're sure that the sustainability of Nigeria, will be guaranteed as a people. So that will just be my counsel, because it is human beings that will implement these policies. Government will always have committees, we have the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, for example. We have, an office, the presidency, of a lady, a lawyer, that takes care of, auditing and reporting back what those who are appointed by Mr. President, like ministers, heads of NDAs, per time. They always have their meetings. But that is not enough. It has to do with the person. Those in the hierarchy, the higher rung of the civil service, starting with our director here seated, to the permanent secretaries, to the officers, they asked to implement these policies. If we get it right in the areas of integrity and patriotism, then Nigeria will be the best for it. Because we ain't got no other country but the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes, Dr. Mal, you will respond. Part of what he has said. If you recall, I asked the ambassador, why some of the treaties, we sign are not implemented or are implemented, in part. And I'm just sharing the opinion of, some Nigerians who would ask, okay, Mr. President has done his part. Let's take, for instance, when Mr. President went to Qatar, he came back and promised, that he was going to unlock the Qatari investment destined to Nigerians, and we're wondering, has that happened? We're also looking at the, the Emirates Airlines.
Quantum of foreign donations, foreign support by the World Bank, by the African Development Bank, by several international bodies. But I think the question Nigerians are asking is the impact of these foreign loans, foreign investment, foreign And that is why he is talking about the issue of integrity and prudent management of these resources. Then also there's this issue of unequal treaties. For example, the example you gave about Emirates has started coming to Nigeria, but our own domestic airlines are not going. So some treaties are really unequal. And that brings to the issue he also raised about putting Nigeria first in most of these agreements. And these agreements with our quest to have our independence, to have the best out of whatever agreement we're entering into with whatever parties. Most times we hear 1.2 billion is being thrown into power sector, but we don't see the power. We don't normally see the impact of this huge, humongous amount of money that is being thrown in. 1.2 billion signed for livestock, so billion thrown into the health sector, and we are not seeing the commensurate impact of this huge amount that is being invested are rectified. And then when it comes to implementation, it is the line ministry. If it's in terms of health, it is the Ministry of Health that will liaise with the donating agency or the partners that are coming in, that are bringing the investment. It's at that stage. I have seen borehole dug by foreign donors that just work for barely 3-4 weeks and it packs up. Yes, in villages. I have seen health facilities deteriorate so fast. I've even seen primary schools renovated that after a rainy season, the roofs are blown up. So these are issues that the president cannot be everywhere. There are people that were supposed to hold the engineers, that are supposed to hold
accountable.
Those people accountable, and that is where the issue of integrity in the implementation of this policy comes in. I don't want to talk too much on the issue.
To Ambassador Dan Ladi, who's joined us via Zoom. Ambassador, in light of the last two comments that we have taken, are there usually timelines, set for realization of these the contents of?
I think I just want to add the issue of ensuring the implementation of this agreement. I think, of course, there are timelines attached to some of these agreements, but I think, most importantly, I think we should adopt some strategies. One, there should be public disclosure. The text of these agreements should be made available. If any organization wants,
our focus is still, Afrocentric, but the first on that agenda is security, and we've seen quite some improvement lately in terms of security issues within parts of the country. And I'm wondering, Ambassador, can you attribute this to probably Mr. President's trips, especially to China? I remember he went to China in the company of the defense minister.
Oh, thank you so much. And I must tell you that this meeting has been going on very smoothly. Thank for your coordination and anchoring. And I'm glad that we are being able to share our views. Indeed, our Constitution prioritizes territorial integrity as the focus and objective for our foreign policy. And which means each trip that Mr. President takes, this is behind his mind. Every investor is also interested in the security architecture of the place they want to invest in. And so they have to balance things. Our view have always been, whatever challenges we have, present opportunity to investor. And even in our security, there's room for partnership and investment opportunity. Nigeria has a compelling environment, despite the challenges in security. We often emphasize or overrate Nigeria's insecurity. Every country over the world have their own challenges with security. There is a possibility of being attacked faster in the city of New York than in Abuja. And you will see when you fly to Nigeria recently that there are more expatriates, foreigners in our aircrafts landing in Nigeria because of Mr. President's efforts reaching out to investors. We are so confident that stabilizing our country. We have the repository of all agreements signed with the Ministry of Justice. It comes through also, we keep copies. But if anyone is interested, and as has been mentioned, the National Assembly keep a tab on whatever goes on in agreement with Nigeria. And so it's also open to the international, to our citizenry. Our public opinion is always very active in Nigeria. But we are encouraging Nigerians to be more interested in television, that the president should do more of these travels. And he said this based on the gains that we have seen. And so I'm reiterating this, that we are all pleading that Mr. President should take more of these trips. And we pray that he has more strength.
All right.
And you see, this is an evidence that is healthy and that is strong. Okay. And if you take this against the backdrop of when he was coming into power, all kinds of political statements. There are people who are still bringing politics into governance, whereby they do all kinds of criticisms of everything that government does.
All right,
I think he deserves the credit at this time, and we give it to him. That is a performing president.
All right, thank you very much. Let me quickly get to Dr. Mali in a minute. I'm just wondering how government should ensure local participation in any foreign funded projects across the country. How should government ensure local participation?
Well, we talk about local content development. Instead of using expatriates, using foreign companies and all these things that the foreign do know, they bring a lot of conditionalities before some of this support or some of this foreign investment comes in. I agree that using the local content is also very key in achieving success or in the implementation of these programs, because involving expatriates or foreigners may not necessarily translate to quality work, because the local people who understand the terrain, who understand, and because they also need to be patriotic.
Ambassador Dr. Korede Martins.
Nigeria is ours.
All right, and many thanks to Ambassador Bolaji Akinremi, Director of Trade and Investment, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
And let me also thank Ambassador Dauda Danladi, who's joined us via Zoom from the United States of America. He is a former Nigeria High Commissioner to Pakistan. Thank you very much for your time on the program. We appreciate your contributions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria. We thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you again tomorrow when we bring you another episode of the program. I am Victor As. We'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
Do you want your school to be known for your achievements or activities? activities. Then look no further. At NTA Knowledge on Star Times Channel 359, we will showcase your school's graduation, excursion, inter-house sports, community service, school's registration of new intakes, and more. For enquiries and advert placement, please dial 0805 906 0657, 0803 553 5720, 0803 Broaden Horizon.
Now breathe in, raise your head up.
Welcome to Health and Wellness Tips, where we prioritize your well-being and happiness.
When the body pressure is greater than usual, one has hypertension and is at risk of organ injury.
A balanced diet is the key to a healthy lifestyle.
Join us as we embark on an exploration of Nigeria's rich cultural heritage and natural wonders.
He told me that there could be fish here that could be as big as myself. Well, I'm not too small, but any fish that is as big as myself, I think that is very big indeed.
In order to make sense of the pains these women go through every day to be able to provide for their family, I asked how much of this bowl they will fetch from this river to this place to make a truck.
From the bustling streets of Lagos to the serene waters of the
Embark on a delectable journey of Nigeria, where flavors come to life in Niger's food adventures.
This is the network service of the NTA.
It's a lovely morning and we thank God we are alive. And I know why I say that, because for me, and I know for everyone, life is one of the most precious, in fact, it's the most precious gift you can ever have, which is why when we lose it abruptly, it becomes a concern. But one wonders, why do we play with this life as precious as it is? We woke up this January, this year, with bad news. In fact, I was trying to trail it. It's more than 4 of them happening at different points, including Abuja. Salome is a big case. We've been talking about it. We woke up to hear that a beautiful girl with a lot of prospects facing her, a lot of lively life facing her, was just removed from Mother Earth by her boyfriend, Timileye. And as much as we mourn, we know that many more has happened. Recently again, a couple of days back, a lady killed a maid because she was watching TV. Some people have been burnt. We intend to look at all of that. And we're wondering how...
Oh, no.
I said it.
No, it's fine. But what I said was that I wasn't sure whether, they say when you cross your leg like this, it means something. Yeah, but then the queen, the etiquette of the royal family, I heard that this is how they sit. So I wasn't sure. So since I don't be queen now.
She was asking which one is more appropriate, crossing at the ankle or crossing at the knee. And we were debating. I'm like, yeah, I know there's some etiquette around it and things like that. I'm too much of a tomboy to teach anybody. Forget this thing.
What did I say? As long as you don't open your legs.
Okay, to answer your question, I was told that the right way to sit, especially if you're a little bit on the heavy side, is to cross on the ankle. Because if you cross the knee, a lot of times you could get a numb somehow. And then if you also have a bit of varicose vein, it can actually accelerate the development. So it's always better to cross on the ankle. And again, if you're wearing a skirt,
that's it.
That is on your knee, when you sit, you find out that it pulls up a little bit. So when you cross here,
we get a little too much information.
Yeah, we have yes, too much information. That's it. So question answered. Joy, last week you actually started this topic for us when you talked about Salome.
Yes.
I don't know, when you heard that news, how did you feel?
It was sad because the guy had no remorse. They asked him the question 3 times. Do you feel bad that you killed her? And he said, no, he would do it again. And what angered me here was the 2 sides of the story. Here they said she was kidnapped by her family, and the people around there said, no, we've seen her for close to a year around this place. And there's a joint that they normally sit down to eat and drink, but he doesn't want to mention it.
She and the boy.
And the boy. And you see, this is the problem. I keep saying it, that most of the time, women are so comfortable with people they know, so they're relaxed. I think these days, these times, like I said last week, anywhere you're going, I think you should tell one person.
Yeah. A person just goes, and you have a boyfriend, you claim he's been your boyfriend for 1 year, and your family don't seem to know the person. Which is
not true. What was the reason he killed her? The reason he killed her, because he saw her phone. She was talking to some other boyfriend. So that's the thing. You see, how many people can handle anger? Because for me, if you know that she had multiple partners, why didn't you just let her go? Why did you have to kill her?
But what about if that killing was done out of, ritual purposes? I mean, there were backs of...
You see, I've heard so many versions of that story that I'm not willing to conclude on any. Only the police, after investigations, might be able to give us sufficient insight.
I like your mind.
Yes. I think that chap who, Timilein, he will say anything to make himself look good. There are people who have said, when I was single, I had a plethora of platonic guy friends. I liked being around guys because they are not trying to snatch your boyfriend. They are not in competition with you. True. You understand? I felt like I got genuine friendship from them. I, of course, stepped out of those kinds of relationships as a result of marriage. I wouldn't want anybody to think or to say, I am the person dating this lady. And the family have acknowledged that this is the person we know. So all kinds of stories are coming out around who she was dating, who she wasn't dating. The bottom line is this. There was no reason for her to have been butchered. And it is said that, and again, you don't know how much of these stories are true, how much of apparently what flesh was left apart from the head that he was carrying around had been deboned.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's even assume she's your girlfriend, you've looked at her phone, you've seen Why would you go that whole stretch of removing the head, transporting it around? I can understand breaking up what's left of it into smaller parts for easier disposal, but why debone it? You know that we have, unfortunately, there seems to be, cannibalism seems to be alive and well in this country.
Like people
some of the
eating,
kidnappers
eating flesh.
Human flesh. Some else, and the person will be reluctant to even thank you because it's like, what do you want me to do with it? So I think we should manage our conversation around what happened with this lady, with who she was dating, all this, until we are certain by the time the police, because it's too public.
Yes, it's
for the story to suddenly go quiet the way it sometimes happens.
Yeah, there's so many opinions and sides to that story. But I know that we're going to get to find out a whole lot when it comes to justice, because I heard the sister talking about getting the right justice done. And director, can we get the studio or the LX partners? I know that a barrister is joining us from there, Barrister Rebecca Ebokbo. Okay, she's ready for us. So, Barrister, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be joining you shortly to find out the legal angle to what we are discussing. But right now, let me find out. Mentally speaking, Coach Didi, you are a mental health coach. What's the family going through at the moment? Because I just can't imagine it.
To be honest, you don't even have to be a mental health coach to figure out what a family could be going through if they lose a child. It's traumatic. Yeah. Losing a child on its own is traumatic. Losing a child in that manner, God, honestly, I cannot imagine. Yeah. I haven't been through it, so I cannot even speak about it. But I do know that they are traumatized. That's for sure. They must be traumatized, and it's sad. When she was saying something about whether or not they are dating, because someone came out and said they are dating. Funny enough, I didn't even know about this. Somebody said, Kujidi, you live in your own bubble. I did not, until you talked about it, I didn't hear it, because I don't even come across this kind of stories. But I do know that women date multiple partners. Yeah. So she could be dating that one and still dating another. She could be dating 5 people, 2 people. It doesn't really matter. And also possible that they're not even dating. They may just be friends. Bottom line is that this lady is dead. That's a fact. And like Devon said, now it's left for the police to actually do their work.
Of this, in January alone, as horrible as it is, we've had cases up to, in fact, Devon and I we kept going back and forth. In Nigeria alone, we actually had up to, and you sent me one or two too. We've had more than 6 within Nigeria.
Discovered cases. You see
discovered cases.
These are the known
cases.
Yes,
these are the known cases. I think was it 2 days ago? It was in Anambra. See, I was crying because here were clothes. They had clothes, then they had the graves, then they had the shrine in Anambra.
Somebody's child.
And guess what? It was
a lot is happening there.
It's a hotel. It was massive. So guess what? I think it's a kidnapping. I think it's a kidnapping syndicate as well. And you see, most of the times, like the story we're talking about, Salome, like they said, they didn't see the particulars. They didn't see the breast. They didn't see certain
that's
things.
The particulars.
Yeah. So now the thing here now is that you see this. I think it's a syndicate. I have a feeling that he did what he did. Sometimes you say that maybe too many stories, it might not be true, but I've always said there's always an element of truth. Because one thing the guy said was that we see him with different women. After a while, we don't see him. We don't see the women anymore. True. So the thing here is that I don't think that's the first time this guy is doing it. Yeah, I sent a message to you.
Just look at the guy. Look at him.
Yeah.
Living
that
his
was
life.
4 weeks.
Is that
he said he's
a gospel
singer. This was 4 weeks before this was what he posted on TikTok. You see, the thing here is that I don't know.
He lives such a happy life. Why would he want to do anything?
No, that's what you think. You see, there's a perception. People give you, there are some people you are with them for like 6 months, 8 months. You don't know them. The day they will strike, because you're already comfortable with them. Okay, let's leave this Salome's case. You have a little girl as a help. Because that girl is a child. Wow. She is watching TV with your kids. And you kill her.
For watching television.
For watching television.
And I noticed the woman was busy carrying her own child.
See the way she was
and
cuddling.
defending.
She was cuddling her own child. So I don't know where we lost it, but there's something fundamentally wrong with us. I think many people have mental issues.
You know, let me not take it out from you. Let's see if we can take this particular, feature on the, overview of femicide in Nigeria. Director? The scourge of ritual mothers is spreading alarmingly across Nigeria, with a disturbing twist of young people increasingly involved. What was once considered the domain of hardened criminals have now become a haunting reality among teenagers and young adults, including secondary school students, who in a haste to get rich quick, run with the belief that money rituals involving human sacrifice is a thing. These heinous crimes are orchestrated by acquaintances who betray their victims' trust, setting them up to brutal mutilation in pursuit of wealth. Women, especially young girls, are increasingly becoming targets of ritual murders due to societal vulnerability and harmful gender stereotypes. According to research by an NGO, the West African Network for Peace Building, Nigeria recorded 185 ritual-related deaths between January 2021 and January 2022. These tracked incidents occurred in 43 women, 30 children, and 80 cases across 20 states. Women are more vulnerable to ritual killings due to factors like poverty, lack of education, and social isolations. There are countless cases of women killed by their supposed boyfriends for ritual purposes. In 2019, a 22-year-old woman, Favour Dale Oladele, was killed by her boyfriend, Owolabi Adeyemi, for ritual purposes in Ogun State. In 2022, another 22-year-old lady, Oluwabamisi Anyanwole, was allegedly killed by a BRT driver, Andrew Ominikoro, in Lagos State. According to DOHS Cares Foundation Femicide Report, no fewer than 133 ladies were killed between January 2024 to December 2024. This year, as early as January, several cases have already been recorded. Why are women and children becoming increasingly sacrificial objects to quick wealth? How can we mitigate against this trend and protect the female gender? All right, it's a sad one, really sad, and I wish I can answer most of the questions. All I say every day is, God, please protect our children. I have 3 girls, and and us too. Yes. So because recently a boy killed the mother.
Adopted.
The adopted mother.
His
that's
mom.
the Yoruba.
Yeah,
the Yoruba boy.
Yeah.
Then the Akwa Ibom boy killed, not Akwa Ibom, Cross River, killed the mom on Christmas Day. Can you imagine it?
Yeah, that he wanted to use her pubic hair for rituals.
No, that he has already collected everything.
That was the purpose. That was the inclination. That was why he did it. And this is your son. Like, where does it end?
Ask the question I've always asked. How come they are living in a thatch house and they are helping you build millions?
No, but
and you think
the
it's
thing
possible?
is, at a point I got curious about these things and started reading up on it. The currency that people who practice the dark arts look for is not cash. They don't need cash. They need something else.
Like?
All those things they send you to go and do, they derive negative energies from there. That is the currency that works for them. in
So
the
why
things that
wouldn't
they need to
the
do.
native doctor get the same currency
And use it
and
to
make
change
all
his
the
own life?
money? Because he's asking you to
I'm
pay
telling
him
you that money
200,000.
is not important to these people. The
Oh,
realm on
okay.
which they operate, money has no value there.
Oh, okay.
You are on a different realm. Money
Oh,
is of
okay.
value to you here. It's of no value for them where they're working.
All right, let's quickly go back to Alex Partners. Director, I don't know if you can still get the Alex Partners. Let's quickly ask a few questions to Barrister Becky. Barrister, we're just wondering, with this happening, on a regular basis, how can we, ladies, women, girls, protect ourselves? I don't know what people call it in your legal terms, but can you educate us how we can protect ourselves?
Thank you very much. The statistics are very alarming, and there's no better time to talk about this occurrence than now. Protecting ourselves has a lot of dynamics to it. First, we have to be self-aware. We have to know that we are sometimes endangered species as women. You already have told us this morning that women are increasingly becoming objects of ritualism. And it's important for women to know what the law provides and what to do when they have impressions or reasons to believe that they may become subjects of such femicide or threatened violence. Most times, prolonged exposure to gender-based violence is what results eventually into femicide. But a lot of women see the signs and they just keep being hopeful. They say prevention is better than cure. Why wait till you are killed before you take action? It's important for women to know that they have rights that the law recognizes. As a matter of fact, not just women, nobody deserves to be killed, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman. And it's not even in every case that a woman is being killed by a man. Sometimes women are being killed by their fellow women. There are incidences that are underreported, so the data is not very accurate. But in any case, it's important for people to know that our laws in Nigeria provides for protection of every human. We have fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution. For gender-based violence especially, we have the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. And under that law, there are a lot of provisions that protect women from domestic violence, rape, even harmful cultural practices, female genital mutilation. Even the Child Rights Act protects children and the girl child from all sorts of abuses. In the north, we have the penal code. In the south, we have the criminal code. And these laws have ample provisions that protect and provides penalty when the offenses have already been committed. But what do people need to know when such offenses are committed? First, there needs to be protection of the evidence. Sometimes victims don't get justice, and it's because the evidence have been tampered with. When a femicide occurs, what should the immediate respondents in that environment do? First, a report should be made to the closest available law enforcement agency. And for law enforcement agency, the police is, our ready friend, as they make us know that they are always at our beck and call to respond to issues like this. The people around the victim should immediately seek help medically, even if the victim has passed away. Most times, when you report the case to the hospital or take the victim to the hospital, the doctors are able to put in the records. It shows the time when the victim was brought in, and it helps to manage the evidence that would help to seek justice in that case. But when people, sometimes for religious reasons, will say, oh, let's just go and do the burial, somebody has passed away. Then after, the evidence has already been destroyed, how do you get justice? And in some cases, the immediate environment where the scene occurred, people don't photograph, they don't do the video to take the evidence of what actually transpired. And in the case of Salome that we have mentioned this morning, you'll see that people have said that this young man had various ladies coming around, and after a while they don't see them again. But nobody was raising the alarm until we have to deal with Salome's case. What if others have been prevented, or other, possible femicides have also been reported? Perhaps Salome would not be a victim. Those are some of the thoughts that come to my mind. Do people really know that there can be justice when things like this happen? Sometimes people don't believe in the justice system because when their loved ones are killed, violently so, it takes a long time to get justice. Sometimes the matter lingers in court for so many years. And sometimes the prosecutors don't help matters too, because sometimes they are not sufficiently empowered to prosecute the cases. And sometimes it's difficult too, because the victim's family will come around and say, oh, we want to leave it for God. I don't know how these things work. But when it comes to justice, I think God is a God of justice, you know. So it's difficult to help people who don't want to be helped sometimes, because a woman came around in, I think in Lagos, is it last week or within the last 2 weeks, and the report was that she had been battered because she went to pick her children from school in a manner that was not modestly dressed. And in a couple of days, when people were crying, oh, we need justice for this woman, she said, no, please, go. How do you...
Whoever the police, he's worthy of commendation.
Oh, yes.
But then, moving on, she also mentioned something, you know, people hiding from, shielding away from what has happened. Like the woman she talked about. We all saw
I have my view on that.
Okay.
I don't believe she wrote that thing she was reading.
Oh, wow.
I honestly believe that man wrote that thing.
Yes, I agree with you.
And was standing in front of her and told her that the same way you took this thing to social media,
that's the same way.
You have to retract it on that same social media. Yeah. Otherwise, it's me and you in this house. I'll do it in a hurry.
But what happened?
Why doesn't she walk away?
What happened to walking away?
Let me allow Coach Didi to even talk on that one.
I do these sessions on Hush Conversations on Instagram, and one of the sessions was
else reaching the family, he's making move. And I'm proud to say that that is the police we should have. That whoever the police officer is, he's worthy of commendation.
Oh, yes.
But then, moving on, she also mentioned something, you know, people hiding from, shielding away from what has happened. Like the woman she talked about. We all saw
I have my view on that.
Okay.
I don't believe she wrote that thing she was reading.
Oh, wow.
I honestly believe that man wrote that thing.
Yes, I agree with you.
And was standing in front of her and told her that the same way you took this thing to social media,
that's the same way.
You have to retract it on that same social media. Yeah. Otherwise, it's me and you in this house. I'll do it in a hurry.
But what happened?
Why doesn't she walk away?
What happened to walking away?
Let me allow Coach Didi to even talk on that one.
I do these sessions on Hush Conversations on Instagram, and one of the sessions was, why do women stay? Why do women stay in toxic, abusive, unhealthy relationships? It's trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding?
Yes.
What kind of super abuse?
Sometimes when women have been through so much, they accept it as a reality. This is my reality. And see, our culture does not help. Because when you've been raised to believe that you are nothing, you can be nothing unless you have a man in your life. No matter how bad you reach, you better say, see, there are parents who tell their children, don't come back, I'd rather have your dead body. Yes.
I was going to go there.
Their kids, so tell me, why are you going to? You are economically dependent, 100% dependent on this person. He didn't let you go to school in some cases.
Yeah.
So you are not even empowered enough to earn 1 naira.
Even
you have very low self-esteem.
You are not allowed to work.
See, if you didn't, at least you went to school, you know that you have a chance. You can, but you didn't go to school. You have very low self-esteem. You cannot even stand and speak. And your reality is this abuse that you saw your father do to your mother, your grandfather did to your own grandmother. So it's a reality. This is your reality. This is how it's supposed to be. That is why women stay. Where do I go to?
Deborah, you were going to say something?
I was going to say that the tragedy of this whole thing, every time, you know, the conversation comes up around intimate partner violence particularly, I hear people saying, oh, she didn't develop herself. If only she had money. Go and see the number of women. There's this guy on TikTok. His name is Daniel. Let me not call his entire handle. It will sound as if I'm advertising him. Their spouses. He did a 2-part series. And these were the cases that had made it to the police station. In every instance, these women had more money than the man, as a result of which they were now dead. Because that man wanted control of the resources.
It's insecurity.
And he was insecure, jealous, and whatever else. So the thing is, as far as staying alive is concerned, forgive me if because I guess I'm a little sarcastic at this point. The lady who doesn't have but is married to a man who has is better off than a woman who is married to a man who is very poor. Yeah. They're both very poor, or she has more money than the man.
Insecurity is a big issue.
Because almost all the instances of intimate partner violence I've come across where the woman ended up dead, wife on fire and burnt her to death.
Exactly. That's the same number.
That was about a week ago.
That's
Anambra
the same
State.
number state.
First of all, this man is as ugly as sin.
The man is the ugly welder.
That's what I said. I said he's as ugly as sin.
Yes.
He's as poor as dirt.
Yes.
This lady is
He's
good
a
looking.
breadwinner.
I still don't understand what the attraction was. And he took her life on suspicion of infidelity. Not
that he saw.
Not decided though. Not that it was concrete. Maybe he walked in and saw. On suspicion of. Now, to make matters worse, this man had threatened to do this several times prior.
There was a time he even carried bottle. The children confirmed it.
Good. And this is a lady. Yeah. This is a lady that has given him five.
That's the man.
This is
Look
yes,
at the man.
The one in the light blue on the left.
But you can see evil.
This is a woman who has split her body open and given this man 5 children, boys and girls alike. If it were only female, I'd say okay. We're already married. We already have kids. I'll hustle the money and bring. Let's see how we can go. And she's the man's enemy. She's his enemy to the point where he can pour petrol on her and light her on fire.
To bring lighter.
Yes.
And this is something he has been saying over time. And you know, when people, just to add to what Coach Didi said, let's even say that there's no trauma bonding. The family dynamic. Yeah. Some people are coming from homes that are worse than what they are going through in the husband's hands. That's one. 2, even when that is not the case, what if your parents are all dead? Your siblings are equally suffering. We don't have shelters in Nigeria that you'll say, okay, I've run away from this man's house. Let me hide in this place
That's the
first.
woman that was the woman that was burnt to death. Yes.
Yes. Rest in peace.
Oh, wow.
I've run away from this person.
Yes.
Let me hide here, pending when I can get myself together. There's only one I'm aware of in Lagos, and I've even forgotten the name because they're so secretive.
Yes, about it.
And about the time, even the women that are able to say, I've had enough, your life is most at danger.
I agree with you.
We also have the story, this one happened last year, of the lady that went for the Commonwealth Games.
Yes.
Came back in
Uganda.
East Africa.
He was in Uganda. Yes.
Went for, she didn't even win. She didn't even win.
Just because she became popular.
No,
And
the thing here is, sorry to butter. The thing here is that we're talking about people killing people. What happened yesterday, the story of the woman and her kids? Yeah, you saw your husband cheating. So why did you have to kill yourself and kill your children?
I don't understand.
I'm hearing this one for the first time.
Yes,
yesterday.
This happened yesterday.
Yesterday.
Where?
I can't even remember.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria. Because she caught her husband cheating
on her with the housemaid.
With the housemaid.
So she killed the 2 children, lovely boy
Yes.
and lovely
How?
girl.
Poison?
Who knows? But
I
they're
don't know,
dead.
She
All
killed
of them
them
are dead.
and killed herself.
And she let the culprits go.
Thank you. So the man, you see, she's giving the maid.
I think we're feeling each other because
Yes.
if my mind were
So who
to
is
go in
supposed
that
to die here
direction.
now?
You see, sorry to say, if I'm going to kill, I'll kill the
Yes,
maid.
now.
Thank
If
you.
somebody must die.
If somebody
So
must
you
die,
see,
it's going to be the
this
maid.
is, I don't know
Not
what
my kids.
is, I
And
don't know
not me.
what's happening. You know, some people think that, and like I say all the time, marriage has to take you to heaven. Yeah. Look, it's better for you to be alive than to be dead. Most of the time, you see, the good thing with you is that you do episodes before I say I do. Men that are violent have showed you
Red
in
flags.
your
There are always red flags.
they're red flags.
And you think you can change him.
You can't change anybody.
It's not possible.
Well, I agree with you completely, Joy. And then there are people who are clever enough, especially the ones that rush you into marriage.
Yes.
Oh, let's be married 3 months, 4
Yes.
months, bam, you're
Yes.
married.
So you can't see
overnight the person changes.
Yes.
And it's not that the person changed. The
That was-
person just
That's
managed
his person.
who he was, just waiting for you to say I do.
See, my sister,
Because the thing is,
let me butt in quickly.
a man who
Sometimes
can
they can even pretend for a long time.
So,
Yes.
a man
You
who
don't,
can
it doesn't have to be sharp, sharp.
No.
a man who can lay hands on you when you are still dating.
Yes.
And that is the point where you can walk away. That is the point where it is okay to introduce competition if you want. A man who can beat you up at that point,
No, but I had
you
a,
still
I
went
had a
ahead
friend-
and married him.
I had a friend who
when
said
it will
that
be difficult for
when
you to
a
leave.
man beats you, that means he loves you.
Yes, there are women who have this mentality.
So that's it.
There are women with that
Yeah.
mentality.
That if the man doesn't beat you,
he doesn't love you. Yes, because you've not been able to
And some of them
rile
get
him
it
up
at home.
enough.
They saw their fathers beat their mothers, and
Yes.
their mother would say, no, he's doing it because he loves me.
Yes.
So she
yes.
grew up with the
I,
belief.
I had a neighbor. I
A
had a
lot is
neighbor
happening.
whose husband used to do that to her.
Yeah.
And her mother was like, "That's how men are."
Are you the first?
It was her father that came to that house and packed her load and left there with his
now,
child.
based on what you're saying, I think I want to go back to see if the lawyer is still with us so she can get to talk to us about the support for women. I mean, she talked about going to the police. I'd like to know, barrister, if a woman has such challenge, how does she begin to get, supports? I know you have something like the civil society. I don't know if FIDA has something for women as well. How do we begin to get, social support? To go. One story we heard yesterday in Lagos, a woman was about to hang herself, and neighbors, people who were shooting movie just across, were able to save her, and her husband was there with her kids. Nobody bothered to save her.
The husband was watching,
Yeah,
actually.
the husband was watching.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
do we get...
There was people shooting a movie that saved her.
How do we begin to get a
Yes.
support for such people?
I think that, thank you, I think that we need to first understand that we are each other's keepers. And what happened yesterday is a testament to that point, that the people who are able to help you are the people first in your immediate environment. Because sometimes you talk about FIDA, you talk about police, you talk about civil society organizations. The people that are really victims are in rural areas, and they really don't know, the immediate help that can be available to them. So they are at the mercy of the people in their immediate environment. And Nigerians have shown time and time again that we love each other, and that the narrative about the few bad eggs is not, it should not be overgeneralized, because they are still very kind people. I've had instances where I've taken people in that I don't even know, just because they needed shelter, they needed safety. And I know that a lot of other Nigerians do this for each other, but sometimes too, because of the people that pretend and make it look like they need help when they're actually after other, negative plans in their mind, make it difficult for good people to really want to help. But I would say that the first people that can help are the people in that immediate environment. Take away the victim from immediate exposure to danger. The first place to go, if you don't know anywhere to go, your closest police station. The police can keep you in a protective custody. They have network, and they can reach out to all the other civil society organizations. I know that one of the speakers or discussants has said that, is the police really our friend? We have seen the bad ones, we've seen the good ones, but I don't think that the narrative about the bad ones should completely blow our vision that they're actually the good police out there. And the police is not setting out to be bad as an institution. They're really trying to help. And if there are bad people among them, it's because of systemic weaknesses and corruption that we find in almost every tier of government. But that notwithstanding, there are civil society organizations that help. There's the Human Rights Commission that helps. There is FIDA that helps advocate for women who are going through violence and help them seek justice. There is the WRAPA, I think women, I can't remember immediately the acronym, they call them RAPA. Right. There are a lot of protective organizations for women, and there are even some that provide, shelter until the woman is able to find her feet. And NAPTIP comes to mind too. NAPTIP does this a lot too, in the case of women who are being trafficked. And in some cases, even when they are not being trafficked, but they are exposed to immediate danger, they get help from organizations like that. There is the Ministry of Women Affairs as well. I think these organizations need to be more in the open space, let people have their contacts, and there are hotlines too that people can call for counseling. There are some organizations that provide those kind of services where people can call in and say, oh, this is a problem I have, and they're able to get immediate support and counseling. But I would say that on the whole, as Nigerians, whether you're a male, whether you're a female, if you see someone in immediate threat of violence or femicide, please do not wait for the person to look for help. Help the person as much as you can to find what immediate help they can get, within that situation that they currently are in. The other things will come in later, but immediately take the person away from that danger, exposure, because it would save the life of the woman. In most cases, it would save the life of their children, because look at women who are going through these difficulties and even thinking about committing suicide and killing their own children. It's like it's just a vicious circle, and we have to try to stop it by helping each other first and foremost.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. While you were talking, you wanted to add something to what you said?
The thing is, back to what we were talking about, women who are being in really abusive relationships, like end up dying. I think the problem is you. I mean, everybody who is listening, who is watching this, we as a society. We have made it that every woman, the best you can ever be in your life is to be married, regardless of how the marriage is. When a woman decides to actually leave an abusive relationship or marriage, even if it's 5 years, 10, 20, 30, you are the ones who will judge her and condemn her. It's society. And that's one of the reasons why women take it all in and still remain.
True.
If society would stand by women who are divorced, for whatever reason.
Okay, I still want to go stay with the Barrister, because I want to know from you quickly in a very brief manner, because I have a lot of people writing here, so we can take a bit of it. What are those reasons why women find it difficult to take a walk when it becomes too hot?
I'll say dependency syndrome. And of course, the cultural bias that we have, walk away from abusive relationship. And that is just sad. But I would say that the root cause of that is a dependency syndrome. A woman who is not empowered, she's at the mercy of the man. She thinks that she cannot amount to anything without the male factor. And that is very wrong, because a lot of women are doing great things. And we see every day women are, getting the first class, achieving excellence in their professions and their careers. And other women should draw inspiration from this. Life of a woman does not start and end with marriage or a male figure being there. You can change the narrative, even if it has not been so in your lineage, in your family, because a lot of women are replaying what has happened with their mothers and be our own story. So you don't have to be completely dependent on a man. You can be empowered. You can go to school. You can be educated. You can start a business. You can decide to work. But again, I must say that sadly, in our generation, we also see women who say, oh, I am born to be taken care of. I do not want to work. I want to marry an Udogu that will take care of me. You see, this is the beginning of how this vicious cycle moves. Because if a woman just sits down and decides that she doesn't want to be used for anything other than she sees herself as an object of luxury and she has to be, taken care of. What if that man dies tomorrow? What if his family comes around and tries to play, the devil's advocate and do all the wrong things that happen in cultural practices that are, offensive to our laws, and make it difficult for you to even benefit, even if he leaves a will for you? What then becomes your fate? What becomes the fate of your children? Why won't you, as a woman, want to do something that brings you some kind of liberation? I'm not saying that if you choose not to work and your family is fine with it, I'm not saying you have to make that decision for yourself. I'm just saying these are some of the reasons why women become victims on the long run, because they themselves don't even see themselves as they can amount to anything outside being taken care of by a man. So that narrative has to change.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should start from there.
All right, thank you. Tavan, you were going to...
Prevention is better than cure. You find young girls... I'm so happy Joy brought up what she said, that if a man doesn't beat you up, he doesn't love you. Then you find young girls saying things like, I like bad boys. Listen, if you are trying to marry, one of your top 3 should be kindness. Be looking for kindness in that person.
Fear of God.
I don't even like the fear of God thing. It's too nebulous. It's too nebulous because some of these people that call themselves men of God,
That's not the same thing with fear of God.
It's not the same.
Genuine fear of God.
Yes.
Somebody
Because
that
fear
has
of
a
God
conscience.
shows in everyday life. Yeah.
Somebody that has a conscience, a living conscience. Somebody that is kind in nature, naturally kind. Somebody that is naturally forgiving. These qualities matter so much. You people call some of them simps. I don't even know what that means. Because a man is kind to you, you think he is weak. So it's that guy that talks to you anyhow. He rubbishes you in front of his friends. You like bad boys. You don't understand. Your brain is not fully developed.
I don't think that's
language.
So what do you think they
I'm
mean?
not, to be honest, Gen Z, I've heard young girls talk about these bad boys. They're not talking about violent and unkind men.
What are
Sometimes
they
bad boys
referring
are
to?
the ones that are partying. Believe me, many of them, when they say, I don't know about your kind of bad boys, but when they talk about it, they talk about the partying kind.
The thing here is that
the word bad.
You
I
see,
associate it with everything bad.
You see, the thing here is that, like I told you last week, I don't think we're in the same world. And this Instagram and this same TikTok, during our times, we never see those things. It's there in the social media. They are beating, and they are saying, it's because I love you. It is right for a man to beat his spouse, because if he doesn't love her, that's where they say, that's where the same Gen Z.
I don't know how they do this. Anyway, let's quickly touch base with this thing. They say when you love someone, you protect the person,
Yes.
you don't beat. All right, please, when you see something, say something. That's from Alhaji Gako Karu. Site, Abuja. Thank you. Okay, so when we see something, we say something, and that's what saved the woman yesterday. The other person says, I'm Brother Peter Pius Waturu Ocha. I so much like your conversation this morning on Femicide too, but why did you select only women for the topic? And may God bless you. My dear, we appreciate your concern, but our program is feminine program. So, but once in a while, because we respect the men around us, we bring men, but the program is basically women program. Good morning, Ma, everyone in the studio. Thank you guys for this program. Please, you women need to stand to stop all this killing. For that guy in Abuja, that guy will not come out alive. He has been doing this. Let police do their work, and justice for from Ojo Nicholas in Otukpo, Benue. Thank you so much, Ojo. And I can assure you that we'll do a follow-up if possible to ensure, and we'll come back here and tell you what happened to him. That's you're talking about Timile. Most of these issues repeat themselves because of the fact that the perpetrators are not being paid back the same way. Our justice system should help us out. Abdul Rashid from Oyo. And I try to take as much as I can. Good morning. Please, there is a lady in Akwa Ibom where the husband is threatening to kill her if she leaves his house. The man has been beating her, and the worst thing is that the husband is a police officer. He has not been providing for the wife, but he only buys something for his children. Please have been trying to console the wife, but it's becoming unbearable to her, and she has nothing doing as a woman. Please, what can she do about the condition? This is the lady's phone number. She actually said the number. I'm going to read it out. 090-790-72247. So,
and he does not represent the Nigerian police.
Yeah.
Please, if God has so much as blessed you with one child, don't have more. The more children you have, the more difficult it is to live. Even when you can, if you're somebody with a heart, you are frightened of the kind of person you are leaving them with. There are people, parents, male and female alike, that are capable of getting rid of their children.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people will say, she should leave now, she can come for the children later. Only 2 than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The more the children are, the more you are binding yourself in that house.
All right, thank you so much. And just one more. Good morning, presenters and discussants. You are doing a wonderful work at a role modeling TV show. A victim in the hands of evil people. This is coming from a senior citizen, Joseph, and he says, Kogi State. All right, thank you very much, sir, for reaching out to us, and we'll get to do that. A quick one. You want to say bye-bye, just quickly?
Like he said, parents should let their friends be able to come to the house so that you know the kind of people your kids are hanging around with.
Okay, okay.
We all have a different threshold for pain. What you can take, take. What you cannot take until waka pass.
Yes, and like I said, the minute you enter and you discover that you happen to have accidentally married a violent person, may it be that you don't have the mentality that beatings equate to love. If possible, don't even have any children at all and plan your exit.
All right.
If you've had already a child, try not to add more. It makes it more difficult to leave.
Thank you. So let's quickly touch base with Alex Partners. If you're still around, you want to say bye-bye to your viewers? The barrister, can we still have you?
Thank you, Liz. It's been a wonderful conversation this morning. For the lady who's raised an alarm concerning her friend or her neighbor, alleging that the husband is police and probably they cannot go to the police for that, situation, I advise they go to the National Human Rights Commission. The matter will be handled effectively.
All right, thank you so much. So you have just heard it, and you said you should go to National Human Rights Commission, and they are spread across Nigeria. I'm sure they're there where you are in Akwa Ibom. You can always find them. Go to your church. Even if it's not the church she goes to, go to your own church and report. The church always has this community, of people to assist. Whatever happens later on, if you can, let us know. We want to be sure that the lady is saved. Thank you so much for joining us, and then next week we'll promise you another exciting package. For now, see something, say something.
I forget to say it, say it, son.
At NTA Knowledge on Star Times Channel 359, we will showcase your school's graduation, excursion, inter-house sports, community service, school's registration of new intakes, and more. For enquiries and advert placement, please dial 0805-906-0657, 0803-553-5720, 0803-337-4201. NTA Knowledge. Learning to broaden horizon.
Nigeria is a country of many cultures, languages, and beliefs. But despite our differences, there is one thing that unites us all: our love for this great nation. Sometimes we may feel that we need to go fast and go alone, but when we come together and work as a team, we can go far beyond what we ever thought was possible. United, we can create thriving businesses that benefit our communities and in turn our nation. It is said that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's understand our differences and come together to build a better Nigeria. When we work together, there is nothing we can't achieve. Nigeria, better together.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country, no matter.
Hello and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We're reaching you live in Abuja. I'm Comfort Amodu. Let's bring you some of the trending stories. To confirm deadest building collapses in Lagos. Twelve countries, including Nigeria, signed MOU on energy and World Bank Group, African Development Bank. South governors affirmed support for government's proposed tax reform policy. ECOWAS confirms exit of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger from regional bloc. Two persons have so far been confirmed dead and 5 injured after a 2-story building collapsed in Lagos. The incident occurred last night at Mega Mall Estate, Mobile Road in Inikpa Villa, Ikota, Aja. We informed that the World Bank Group, African Development Bank and 12 countries have signed a Memorandum of Understanding at the Mission 300 Africa Energy Summit 2025, holding in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And the MOU revolves around national energy impacts compacts to set ambitious targets with timelines for implementation. Two persons have so far been confirmed dead and 5 injured after a 2-story building collapsed in Lagos. The incident occurred last night at Mega Mall Estate, Mobile Road in Inikpa Villa, Ikota, Aja. We informed that the World Bank Group, African Development Bank and 12 countries have signed a Memorandum of Understanding at the Mission 300 Africa Energy Summit 2025, holding in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And the MOU revolves around national energy impacts compacts to set ambitious targets with timelines for implementation to expand energy infrastructure at competitive cost, leverage on the benefits of regional power integration, embrace distributed renewable energy and clean cooking solutions as critical elements of access agenda, among others. Musba and Wahab reports on this.
African leaders again find a reason to unite, standing up for common solutions to a common challenge. The reality of about 600 million people living in parts of a continent without access to power demands a more proactive course of action. Now, with the target to provide 300 million Africans with sustainable electricity by or before 2030, the leaders are planning big. Observers have deemed the dream as an ambitious quest, but then with the global and the continental banks as well as other partners providing the spark and the available options of energy mix, stakeholders believe it is still possible to light up the dark spots of a black Africa ahead of the SDGs deadline.
We have to accelerate our collective efforts to fast-track the solution for SDG 7, but also the Paris Agreement, and propel Africa to become...
The Development Bank and the World Bank have developed a very clear path to achieving the 300 million access goal. Together, the African Development Bank and the World Bank will commit $40 billion towards the Mission 300.
From the outset, President Bola Tinubu has long identified the importance of energy to his socio-economic drive, which he has always insisted must be clean and sustainable. Other leaders also recommit to the mission of sustainable energy solutions, giving hope to the light yet on the horizon.
With Mission 300 as our agenda, sets us on right track to realize the goal of universal access to energy for all. Together, we can light
towards attaining the goals of Mission 300. That's done. They have less than 5 years to walk the talk for actualization of the target. From Dar es Salaam, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
And Musbat and Wahab tells us that the World Bank, African Development Bank in 12 countries have signed a memorandum of understanding with the countries reaffirming commitment to overcoming the challenges related to power and energy provision for the social and economic development of their citizens. This pledge was highlighted during the ongoing Mission 300 Million Africa Energy Summit in Tanzania.
An investigation showed that over 570 million people in Africa lack access to electricity, which represent 83% of the global population without the amenity. The research indicates that more than 1 billion people on the continent do not have access to clean cooking energy. These issues, compounded by the effects of climate change, have intensified the social and economic challenges facing Africa. In response to these challenges, the Mission 300 Million African Energy Project was initiated.
That is why Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank Group, and I joined together to launch the Mission 300 with a goal of expanding access of 300 million people in Africa to electricity by 2030.
M300 is the cornerstone of a jobs agenda. It is not just about electricity. It is not just about clean cooking. It is not just about healthcare. It is about people and their optimism and their hope for dignity. This is the cornerstone of a jobs agenda. It is the...
As part of this initiative, 12 African nations, including Nigeria, Chad, Cote d'Ivoire, DR Congo, Liberia, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritania, Niger, Senegal, Tanzania, and Zambia presented their national energy compacts at the ongoing summit.
Africa is uniquely positioned to lead the global energy transition by powering essential sectors such as healthcare, education, commerce, bolstering industries.
Successful, this project is expected to provide energy to 300 million people, thereby creating job opportunities and sources of income for many people across the continent. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Musa Bali reporting then, back in Nigeria, the leadership of the National Assembly has pledged to engage President Bola Tinubu on the need to conduct a national population census this year. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, stated this during a meeting with the management team of the National Population Commission in Abuja. Speaker Abbas, however, expressed his support for an order by President Tinubu that the National Population Commission should conduct a count is long overdue, as it would establish the country's numerical strength after almost 2 decades. And while acknowledging that the budget of the National Population Commission was inadequate to conduct a census, the Speaker said the federal government may consider other sources of funding, including the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Chairman of the Commission, Nasir Kwara, said plans for the biometric census include acquisition of technology, recruitment and training of officials, as well as establishment of a situation room. The 6th expanded National Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic has been launched in Maiduguri, Borno State, where Vice President Kashim Shettima inaugurated the Borno State Fashion Innovation Hub aimed at boosting financial inclusion and economic activities. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports from Borno State.
Respite for small business owners in Maiduguri, Borno State. inspection of exhibition stands to showcase the skills and experience of the people in business initiatives, and the inauguration of the Borno State Fashion Innovation Hub, significant milestone in supporting local entrepreneurs and the creative industry.
I'm pleased to announce, on behalf of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that an unconditional grant of 300,000 naira will be awarded to each outstanding MSME exhibiting enthusiast. This is a direct grant. You will not be required to repay it. This emphasizes the depth of our commitment to your success.
Recognizing the crucial role of micro, small, and medium enterprises, this administration has implemented different policies and programs to develop the sector in the state, among which are the sub-loan disbursement to empower the entrepreneurs and traders, construction of modern markets, establishment and renovation of skill acquisition centers.
At the end of last year, the President graciously upgraded that amount to 5 million naira. So it means that a single SME in Borno who has a bankable proposal can collect a single obligor of 5 million naira for a tenure of up to 5 years.
The federal government support program sees the small businesses as the lifeline of communities across the nation and a strong pillar of stability at this critical phase of economic transition, with a new commercial bank aimed at boosting financial inclusion and economic activities in Borno State. The initiative is part of a broader national strategy to revolutionize Nigeria's economic sector as part of ongoing efforts to create jobs and diversify the economy.
Project construction of 1 by 15 MVA 33 11 kVA injection substation.
Vice President Kashim Shettima also inaugurated the Niger Delta Power Holding Company's newly completed injection substation under distribution intervention projects, significantly enhancing the region's power distribution infrastructure.
And be rest assured that the federal government will continue to support the organization towards meeting the yearnings and aspirations of the Nigerian people.
In Maiduguri, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Governors of Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River and that of Delta, under the aegis of the South-South Governors Forum, have shown their support behind President Bola Tinubu's proposed tax reform policy, urging him to extend the proposed VAT sharing percentages to other areas of derivation, such as oil and gas. This, among other issues, is contained in a communique of the South-South Governors Forum during a meeting this Tuesday in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State capital.
The South-South governors assembled in Bayelsa State to, among other things, chart a common cause for the region. Governor of Bayelsa State, Doye Diri, stresses the need to foster greater synergy among member states to advance the development of the geopolitical zone. In a communique read by the Bayelsa State Governor, Doye Diri, the governors expressed support for the ongoing tax reforms of President Bola Tinubu administration and urged the president to extend the proposed VAT sharing to other areas of derivation like the oil and gas.
The forum further requests the federal government to urge relevant stakeholders and agencies to extend the remediation of polluted environments ongoing in Ogoni land to other impacted communities and states in the region.
For the governors, the need to connect member states with topmost regional security, among other issues, agreed upon. The governors unanimously adopts Governor Diri as the chairman of the forum and Basi Etu of Cross River State as the vice chairman.
The country is restructuring and Nigeria is actually emerging as an economy. As the South-South states and the region, we must also begin to look beyond oil.
We need to keep our political differences aside
and understand that the struggle as at today is for posterity, for the development of our region.
High point of the meeting was the 50th birthday celebration of the Rivers State Governor, Sim Fubara. Iyinogwa, Timinapri, Ohia, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Advances towards 1 trillion naira digital economy. Details of these and other business stories are still ahead.
When my way groweth drear.
The families of Kerobo Musa and Fatima Onoge of Imigye Awuyemi Opela, Itsako East local government area of Edo State, cordially invite you to the funeral obsequies of our beloved husband, father, grandfather, father-in-law, brother and uncle, Pythias Imigye Musa, who died on the 10th of January 2025 at the age of 79. Funeral activities, Thursday 30th and Friday 31st January 2025, wake keep and interment respectively at his residence, Royal Palace premises, Awuyemi Opela, Itsako East local government area of Edo State. Funeral rites at St. Bonaventure Catholic Church, Awuyemi Opela. For Amen.
Lead me home.
Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji Ojo is kicking off 2025 with big plans, from mandatory home delivery of international passports to restructured federal fire service. He says Nigerians should expect a fast-paced year. Victor Azu attended an interactive session in Abuja and brings us some of the Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji Ojo is kicking off 2025 with big plans, from mandatory home delivery of international passports to restructured federal fire service. He says Nigerians should expect a fast-paced year. Victor Azu attended an interactive session in Abuja and brings us some of the resolutions.
Predictions even before the minister arrived. When Olubunmi Tunji Ojo walked in, the room quietly shifted to focus. He's earned the nickname Starboy for his results in 2024. And he's making a bold promise. 2025 will be even better. Top of the panel, it will be mandatory. This, he explains, is to end the long lines and hassles many Nigerians face during collection.
So everywhere in Nigeria now, once you apply for your passport, if you choose the option of home delivery, we will deliver to the home. If there is home delivery, your passport cannot be deceived. That's the truth, because it becomes the responsibility of NIS to deliver the passport to your home. And hopefully, we're looking at by April 1, that's where we're looking at, to be able to make this home delivery mandatory thing.
And there's more. The Federal Fire Service is about to get a major upgrade. They won't just be fighting fires anymore. They will also handle rescue operations nationwide. To back this transformation, the ministry is working on a bill to provide legal support.
When there is flooding, the people that are supposed to be dealing with saving people should be fire service. Even when you talk about road accidents, the people that should be resuscitating people and getting people out of danger is fire service.
From improved identity management to enhancing the correctional service and protecting public assets, the ministry is making moves. And here's the best part. Media briefings like this will now happen every quarter, so the conversation doesn't stop. Nigerians will be watching closely to see how these plans play out. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
Nigerians' journey towards achieving a $1 trillion economy is gaining momentum, fueled by emerging opportunities within the Election Commission has reiterated its commitment to safeguarding data privacy and leveraging it as a driver for economic growth as the world marks Global Privacy Day.
Global Privacy Day, observed annually on January 28, aims to raise awareness and establish global standards for privacy and data protection. In Abuja, the NDPC marked the day under the theme, Taking Control of Your Data. Dr. Vincent Olatunji, the National Commissioner of the NDPC, emphasized Dr. Ahmed Tinubu. He highlights ongoing efforts to equip Nigerians with specialized skills in digital protection.
We have about 500,000 data controllers and processors in Nigeria, and each of them must have a data protection officer. And we don't really have the competence, the professionals to occupy this place. And that is why we've taken this upon ourselves and on behalf of the government, for government to actually pay for the training and certification of 500. This is just the beginning.
This year's Global Privacy Day commemoration saw active participation from data protection compliance organizations, data protection officers, and data subjects. Nigeria joined over 53 countries, including the USA, Canada, and Qatar, in observing this important day. In Abuja, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
And human rights advocating stringent measures to deal with evolving threats to digital rights towards enhancing freedom of expression, access to information, and protection from online harms. This was the Trust at a Forum of Digital Rights Innovation Lab workshop organized in collaboration with the National Human Rights Commission. Rise of surveillance, censorship, data breaches, and online abuse are identified as stumbling blocks to digital rights and its potential for progress as key players sue for enforcement mechanisms and ethical innovation to enable citizens to take advantage of the digital ecosystems to transform the nation's economy.
Human rights laws, or the laws which we have around the Nigerian Data Protection Act, we need to create the bridge between that law and the people, which is the judges and which is the legal practitioner. What happens when we find the freedom of expression being clamped down, dissenting voices who are being clamped down, even journalists? What happens in those conversations is the bridge is the legal practitioners and the legal experts who will have those conversations when it comes to the judges.
Equipping our judges, when we equip our judges, they will know the nuances in the digital space, digital environment, and be able to come to an informed decision. They are brilliant jurists, there is no doubt about it. But if there are things that are new in the environment, in our space, we need to inform them on time so that when cases come before them, they will not need to stress. They already have an idea of how the issue is, and then they are able to make the right decision in the circumstance.
Consensus at this workshop is that collaboration is highly essential with the justice sector, civil society, private sector actors, and individuals working towards ensuring that digital rights are protected in the country. Away from that, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it won't hesitate to act against any institution or individual that undermine the integrity of foreign exchange market. Musa Abubakar reports that the CBN Governor Olayemi Kadoso gave the warning at the official signing of compliance to the new foreign exchange code guidelines for the banking industry.
Here is the mindful CBN governor and regulator watching from his seat while bank representatives take turn to sign the foreign exchange code known as the FX code. The Nigeria Foreign Exchange Code, introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria, sets guidelines to ensure transparency, ethical behavior, and professionalism in the FX market for banks, dealers, and financial institutions. With external reserves growing at the rate of 12.74% to $40.68 billion, the FX Code is part of the bank's monetary reforms aimed at promoting ethical conduct among dealers in the Nigerian FX market.
The ethics code.
Now, aligning with President Bola Tinubu's agenda of diversifying the energy mix to global trends, the Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authorities issued 10 licenses to certified indigenous and international companies. Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekperipe Ekpo, said these licenses come into effect as stakeholders anticipate significant advancements in Nigeria's gas distribution capabilities, potentially transforming the landscape of energy consumption in the country. Let's get more on this from Lydia Sampson.
Nigeria is set to move away from trucking of gas to pipeline gas distribution, meaning gas will be virtually available by switching on your devices at home, eliminating cylinders and other dangerous challenges associated with gas transportation and distribution. Industry players believe the gas distribution regime will unlock the vast gas resources and translate to tangible benefits for Nigerians.
Without the distribution, the licenses that is being issued today, gas will not go down to the end users. So that is